It's late on another Friday night. Friday night is when I record my videos. This one will come out on Sunday. It is the sample Sunday, but it is the first whiskey of the night. The reason for that is it's bottled at 40% alcohol by volume, and the other whiskeys of the week, which will be full bottles, have higher ABV and probably more flavor. This here is a sample sent to me by Mike Menert. He has sent me 6 samples. This is the 4th of the 6. It's a Forty Creek 3-grain 20th anniversary Canadian whiskey bottled at 40% alcohol by volume. I don't believe I've ever had this one. It's in one of these fancy Canadian Tire mason jars, which are great for samples. You get a bigger sample, you get a perfect seal, and apparently they're cheaper than sample bottles. Well, if you get the sample bottles for free when you get samples, it's the same. It costs nothing. I have lots of samples, so if I have sample bottles to send, if I have samples to send to other whiskey enthusiasts, I can do that because I keep getting samples in, and I always get sample bottles. But these are definitely a quality item. Just a little more. It may be a little difficult to pour, and sometimes you get a little bit of spillage, but that keeps the table clean. All right, and this is for after when I'm editing. Here we are with the Forty Creek 3-grain, sent by Mike Menert, who lives near Sudbury, Ontario. Sudbury is the home of the Creighton Mine. I was in that mine. I took a tour once. It was real cool. Yeah. And sheeting action and tiny little trails of droplets coming down the glass. You can sort of make them out. So what would be the 3-grain? The 3 grains would be probably corn and rye and maybe wheat. Could be corn and rye and malted barley. Smells very much like a Canadian whiskey. Big surprise. It is Canadian whiskey. Forty Creek comes from the town of Grimsby, Ontario, on the Niagara Peninsula. Niagara being near Niagara Falls. And I think 40 would be 40 miles from Niagara Falls, or is it the 40th Creek? I'm not sure. I'd have to read the back of a bottle again someday, just to figure out what that means. But I know the stuff is made in Grimsby, Ontario. And the distillery used to be called Reader. And Reader used to make eau de vie, things like pear brandy and things like that. And they used to come in square bottles, where the bottles were about this high, and they were square in plan view, like a Johnny Walker bottle, except that the corners were more defined. And the only reason I know that is because my dad used to drink that stuff back in the 70s. He always used to have some Reader Kirsch. And when I was reading up on Forty Creek one time, I discovered that it was at the old Reader plant, or the old Reader distillery, which was converted to making whiskey by John Hall. Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of that rye spice along with the corn sweetness. Yeah, I'd have to read up on this some more. Or, hey, if you're interested, you can read up on it. And maybe get back to me on the comments. Then I don't have to do so much work. Smells delicious. I'm going to give it a taste. Just let me wash my mouth out just a little bit. Cold water. Yeah, corn sweetness, rye spice. It's not very strong. Hint of caramel. A little bit of vanilla. Tiny little bit of butterscotch. But all of these are quite subtle. It doesn't really have a nose that reaches out and grabs you and knocks you over. How about the palate? Okay. First I get some caramel, a little bit of vanilla, some Werther's Original. Then it transitions to a slightly bitter, only slightly bitter, finish with a little bit of spice, a little bit of rice spice, but it's not overpowering. It's a slightly spicy finish, and maybe a bit astringent. I'm going to let myself know on the second sip what we're getting. Yeah, vanilla and butterscotch. More butterscotch than vanilla on the nose, once again. Yeah, once again, some caramel and butterscotch at first, and then it transitions to a little bit spicy from the rye, I suppose. And there are quite some oak tannins. It's kind of woody on the finish. Quite a bit of oak tannins. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite. I would prefer getting some Barrel Select to this one. And over the Barrel Select, definitely the Copper Pot. The Copper Pot, which has more of everything. And even the Barrel Select has more of everything than this does. I mean, it's okay. It's a starter whiskey. Apparently, it's from their initial core range when they first started out at 40 Creek. And I think they made some improvements when they came out with Barrel Select and Copper Pot. That's just my opinion. This is all right. It's a regular starter whiskey. You know, I'm getting a little bit of a minty note as well. I don't usually get minty notes minty notes on Canadian whiskey, which is different. Where would the minty note be coming from? Would that be from the rye? It's hard to say. And underneath that minty note, there's some vanilla lurking. But it's pretty straightforward. It's changing as it goes along, because I didn't get that minty note at first. Now, the nose is becoming more and more nondescript. I'm getting less and less out of the nose as I go along. But through the palate again. Yeah. There is some weird minty note going on, along with the oak tannins, with some vanilla hiding underneath the oak tannins, and a spicy oaky finish. And it borders on bitter. I don't know. This is not exactly my favorite kind of Canadian whiskey, but it's a data point. It's something interesting to try, and but I would not seek it out. Thank you very much, Mike Menert, for giving me the opportunity to try this gem. Is it an Ontario exclusive? That's possible, because I've never seen it around here, and I don't know when did John Hall start making whiskey at Grimsby, Ontario, and this is the 20th anniversary. Huh. Oh well, if you're interested, you can do the research. I will drink to your very good health. Cheers.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Yeah.